Good afternoon, good morning. It's a new day. It's a fun day. We got this car leaving. If you didn't know, I bought this car as a shell, and we pieced together what I would say is probably one of the cleanest 32s in the game. 33 Brembos, CEs in 17, 10, 22. This thing just fucks. Gretty piping. A couple things I don't love, like these filters, but besides that, this thing turned out so good, so clean. But we have something more interesting today to go over. The homies are, I would say my favorite brand in the game.
They're the best brand.
They're the best. Like, I don't care about anything. They just make our lives easy.
Best domestic brand.
Best domestic brand. They make our lives so easy. Shout out Wiring Specialties. They got us a harness for the 180SX Type X. S13 is a pro harness. So it's got some little tricky extras. They always give us a folder full of beautiful information, but here is the harness. Now, if you don't know about the pro harness, it has special sheathing, correct? Mm-hmm. It is routed slightly different. Mm-hmm. And the ECU connector, can you find that for me? Is a little special. Wow. Oh, this is for a Haltech Elite, is it called? Yep. Elite 1500. We also use Haltechs pretty exclusively in every build we do. We like Haltech. We love Wiring Specialties. So, to my knowledge, and to Josh's knowledge as of right now, that is the final piece to the puzzle. We need the harness in. He needs to do one little tweak with the fuel pump wiring, and we're going to hear this thing fire. So, at the end of the day today, he'll be installing that. Hopefully tomorrow, we just crank this thing. We don't need it to be able to do 200. We just need it to start. And then next week, we can just dial out the small amount of bugs, get it tuned, and get this thing ready, because I want to bring this down to the LZ Invitational. I want to get some eyes on it, and since it's December here now, it's not really going to happen for us here. There's no car shows or car meets. Everyone's home crying, depressed, eating like bread, right? Yeah. Is that what people do?
I guess.
Crying, depressed, eating bread.
People think I'm a Jehovah because like I don't like Christmas. My birthday is 2 days before. Like I could give a shit less about it. So.
But do you eat bread this month? So he eats bread this month.
Month.
So he eats bread every month. Yeah. So it smells like hella ethanol in here.
Yeah,
well, I got freaking covered in it too over there,
so wiring harness on, and that's it. But it's not really going to change the way it looks much, right?
No. You won't see really much difference at all.
So the cool thing is you'll be able to watch Josh install this harness real time. Should we just, I want to leave almost the whole thing, just because the routing has fucked with my brain multiple times on these pro harnesses on SRs. I've done this 3 or 4 times. You got to watch Josh do it. We'll get the hard pieces. There's a couple little confusing things, so it might be a little long, might be a little drawn out, but we might as well get it out there. So if anyone ever is doing this, they can reference this video. It's almost like a Tech Tuesday, like a mini Tech Tuesday.
That's smart.
All right, so let's get on it, install that, and hopefully in this video, this starts with no issue and moves under its own power. Let's go.
So what we have here is called the interface cable. And
This is Yuri's like finest work. This addition to the game.
that's pretty sick. So like virtually this harness could be any SR. What actually adapts it to the car itself would be this.
And that harness can go to any engine. So if at any time you bought this setup, you could get it like RB25 Neo, just change this piece, and it would connect to that. And then you could do like whatever the fuck else you want. You could do an LS right after. You could do anything.
Yeah, it's the same like, you know, if you have flying lead, like for old cars and you don't have anything that would connect to the chassis, it would be this to flying lead. If you do like say a Neo and a 32 and you want to take it out and put it in a 33, all you change is your interface itself. GTR or not, the Attested system is linked through the interface on the Pro harness. It's pretty sick. It's ingenious.
How the fuck did you choose?
Okay. There you go. Look at that shit. Look at that. Coil harness. Boom. Then I'm gonna run that this way. Let me divvy all this out. Just easier for me. You get me? Right now I'm separating what goes on this side of the engine to this side of the engine. All that. It's trans on this side. The rest of it honestly is just engine, which is nothing. This is right. The pro tip on doing these is to have your harness beforehand, so then you can install it before the engine goes in. Then it makes your routing a lot easier. Saves you a lot of time. So all that's left basically is we have grounding kit, which you can section and choose to use. It's not really that excessive with a fresh painted bay. Then you have this wire, which would just go from your alternator to your battery. But important thing to note with the pro harness, this is the old harness. And what's to note about it, that they do not come with a positive cable. Now unfortunately this one's hacked. So I'm gonna have to do diligence in old charging harnesses that I use for 32s or off 32s, 33s, whatever. You have to cut the loom and you have to remove the wire that goes to your starter to your battery, because that is not part of this. It's an independent harness. This is also an independent harness from factory. So if yours is hacked like this, you can make one. If not, you know, if you're lucky, use your original harness. You just have to cut the loom, pull it all out, use it. That way you retain the boot, factory crimps, etc. Usually I vapor hone these. It brings the brass back perfectly. But very little left on this end of it anyway. But I think it looks good.
All right, we're back. Josh has the harness completely ran. Changed the fitting. That didn't work out for us. I love that 90. You love that 90?
Yeah, it was cool.
But it wasn't loose.
No.
So wherever it ended up, when it was tight, is where it ended up. That just so happened to be right into the valve cover.
That's cast aluminum, which would snap.
Yeah, it would have snapped. It almost snapped. I tried to.
It could bend it.
I tried to fucking bend it or like tighten it a little harder, and it got sketchy. So anyway, he used the center. There's another input here, I guess I'll call it, and It's
Center
underneath.
feed's better anyway.
Center feed is better.
Yeah.
But this would have looked like hella OEM. So the harness is in. Couple little upgrades we need to do eventually, which I'll talk about, which I shouldn't talk about. But we need to do R35 coils. For now, we're setting up the igniter and we're running the factory coils just to get the car started. We will eventually upgrade to R35. We'll hit up our boys at Drift HQ. They'll get us some PRP shit.
What's cool though about this harness is he made it for the igniter, is it mounts next to the ECU, so you don't have to look at it.
Oh, hell yeah. So the igniter's inside.
Yeah, it's tucked inside.
That's super cool. And then are we okay when we take it out?
I don't know if you have to run like a junction
Or maybe plug into it and run that all the way out? Yeah, we'll ask him.
How he did it.
All right, so we should have all OEM functions with this harness, correct? You figured out the oil pressure?
I just had to steal stuff from the old one.
Yeah, so these pro harnesses are made for, I don't want to say race cars, but more people want different things than us. We're OEM boys. We want the OEM shit to work. But it's okay. We overcame that obstacle, and now Josh has hooked up fuel lines, hide some wires or reroute some wires, and what was the last thing?
Finish wiring the fuel pump.
Finish wiring the fuel
To the front
pump
of the car.
to the front of the car. And we are on the hunt for a battery. I had this PC680, which like I don't like them because they're orange. I'll be completely honest with you guys. But that's the correct size that everyone runs. It's like a standard size. And it fits beautifully right here. We should have to figure out a way to tie it down. But once we do, we've got a battery solution, which I'm happy with.
So
Anything else?
Whoever wins this car, if you want to, it's already wired for flex fuel. It's wired for aftermarket sensors to the Elite, so if you want to run an IC7, plug and play.
Oh, hell yeah. You'd be a clown to put an IC7 in this, though.
You would, but like some people like that.
Some people are clowns. And that's the truest thing that's ever been spoken. So, it's going to start. I'll just say that. It's going to start today. That's the goal. And we need some oil in it, and that's it. We just want to hear that fire, that crack, that SR come to life. That's all Josh wants to hear. He loves SRs, right, Josh?
Yeah, they sound so good.
Adam sounds pretty sick. It sounds like a fucking rotary, though.
Yeah, this is a lot of money in his.
Do you hate SRs?
Yes.
Harness installed. Power harness getting installed. Got the injectors, the fuel lines, last piece, coolant's in, oil's in. The last piece of the puzzle is a vacuum line for the internal map on the Haltech 1500. So it actually have a sensor built into them. You have to run a vacuum line to it. We don't love them. Sometimes we'll do an external map sensor that will just be wired to it. But for this car, the internal, actually on the 1500, is it a 2-bar or 3?
I have no idea.
It's probably a 3.
Have we ever even used the 1500?
No.
Yeah.
So the 1500 is like good for 4 cylinders basically. Actually, no, my FD had a 2500. So each tier usually has a different internal map. The plug and plays have a 2-bar. The Elites have a 3-bar. So this,
I'm pretty sure it's better still than a Platinum Pro.
yeah, probably. So we'll never run 3-bar on this, but
Wouldn't that be funny?
it'd be funny. We blow it.
Blow it out.
Blow it to smithereens. So once he runs that map wire, we're gonna call our boy Jack, have him remote in, set some settings, crank it, set base timing. Hopefully she's good. All right. Josh has the battery. Oh, he has the jump pack hooked up because we don't have our final battery. Everything else is set, and he is currently hacking the mainframe on the Haltech Elite.
I've just never used Nexus.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, you have to. We're not going to tamper with any emissions devices. I agreed to that.
Yeah, good. Not supposed to do that. Not that there was any emission devices on a 1995 Nissan 180SX Type X that came from Japan. But if there were to be, we're not going to touch them. We don't need to.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If the EPA is watching, this is to make it better.
And fuck you.
He said it. He said it. I didn't say that shit. EPA, I appreciate everything you do, except for when you fuck with stuff that I like. But he's got to figure out a base map. Once we figure that out, scale the injectors. Is that all you have to do? Scale the injectors?
Yeah, and everything else is stock.
And then she'll just fire it up. Everything else is stock. So just to give you a rundown, we've got the original engine from the car, an S15 turbo, gradient intake manifold, some big old injectors, and, you know, basic bolt-ons, front mount, full exhaust, intercooler piping. The only thing we do not have yet is the R35 coil kit. So this setup should be a super fun street car setup. It should make close to 300 wheel or 300 wheel. It's really similar to the setup I put back in the day into the old gold silica brass S13. It's almost identical actually. And I think this is a good combo. It looks clean, it works, and it's upgradable. The SRs aren't the strongest engines. They say they're good till like 400 horsepower. The transmission's only good till about 400 horsepower if you beat the car. So this should be super safe and really fun. It weighs about 2,700 pounds and it'll make 300 wheel. So it's got the power to weight ratio of something good. Anyway, you got it?
Yeah, it was actually part of it. I just had to update.
Oh, okay. So you got a base map now?
Yeah, I just had to change some shit. So.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to hear this thing fire. Cross your dicks that we have no issues, boys. So we got old Jack on the phone. He's helping us just scale the injectors so we can... Jack, you ready to hear the first start of the 180SX Type X I got from you?
Oh, man, I'm ready for that.
Jack's ready. Born ready. And we're going to have you remote in and tune this thing.
Jack.
I think we'll have you remote in and street tune it a bit.
Okay.
Not today, but next week.
We just wanted to start.
Yeah, we just want to hear her fire.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is there an accept for like after you enter? I hit enter, but it doesn't show that it did anything.
Yeah, do you have to like burn it onto the
'Cause
ECU?
normally it's
No,
like you have to
it's
cycle
live.
the key.
Oh, it's live.
Oh, sick.
As long as you're connected.
Cool.
You gotta make sure
Should I do it?
the ECU's on and the car's on.
Yeah, try.
How do we get it to not start? Is there a way to just prime it? Do you want?
You wanna prime it?
I already turned it over like 5 or 6.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how I knew that the situation.
All right, you ready, Jack?
Yeah,
Let me take it out of gear so I don't drive into somebody's GTR, which I almost just did.
Nope, need more power.
We're gonna try. We have to kind of put a battery that doesn't fit in there, crooked Jack. You'd like that? You ready?
Oh, I would not like that. I
Here.
just want to hear it run.
Here we go.
All right.
Sounds weak still.
Slow.
We've got a slight issue with the battery scenario. We gotta wait for the correct battery because we just can't get enough juice to get this thing. We're gonna make sure we have to run through, check all our grounds, do all that. So with that being said, unfortunately, this is a fail. I'm gonna end the video here because we want to go the fuck home, and we will pick it up next week with hopefully a start. If you haven't entered for your chance to win the 180SX Type X, links in the description, tommyfyeah.com. Stop sleeping. See you guys next time. Cross your dicks that it starts.